gentlemen, we are back with our very first episode inside the Devil's Den. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Devil's Den Hockey. This is our first ever video doing one of these inside our new studio. It is pretty much done. I'd like to add some more pads over on this side and maybe do something with the empty space up here. But for now, this is what we're looking at. Welcome back to Devil's Den Hockey. And today we are here to discuss the NHL awards. Now, we're going to do something that I have never done in the history of making Devil's Den videos. This is the first time for me, so you're going to have to forgive me if I don't do a great job at it. But we're going to do it anyways, and we're going to see how this works out. I have made a list, a ginormous list, of all of the NHL awards that are normally given out at the end of the year to the NHL players at large. But this video, this time, we're going to take all of those regular trophies, all of those regular awards, and we are going to give it out to who I believe should win them if it was only the New Jersey Devils. So what do I mean by this? I mean like bringing in the Hart Trophy, the Rocket Richard, the Selke, the Norris, the Ted Lindsay, all of these kinds of awards we are going to be using in order to create a roster of players that I think deserve these awards based on what's happened this year. And if this video goes well, and it does well, we'll do it for every single other year at the end of every single season. So, without further ado, let's jump into this. We are in the Devil's Den giving out the NHL award for the 2025-2026 New Jersey season. So, first up on our list is the Hart Trophy. Now, the Hart Trophy is given to the best player in the league, or in this case, the best player for the New Jersey Devils this year. And in my opinion, this one's pretty obvious. This one is a really easy one to give out. And in my opinion, the MVP of this year should go to none other than Jack Hughes. Bar none. This guy, while getting injured and having the infamous Chicago cut where he cuts his hand in some sort of freak, weird-ass accident, instead, he comes back and he does what he can. This is a guy who, when he goes down, the entire team goes down. When he goes down, this team was not able to recover. Without Jack Hughes, and what feels like the raw talent of Jack Hughes and the aura that he gives off when he's on the ice is clearly a key to New Jersey having a victory. So, in this case, I'm going to give Jack Hughes the Hart Trophy for this season of hockey. So, Jack Hughes takes home our first trophy. Our second one on the list is the Calder Trophy. Now, normally the Calder Trophy goes to the best rookie in the NHL. In this case, I'm going to give it to the best first-year Devil on the roster. And that could include guys like Cody Glass, Connor Brown, Arsenij Gritsuk, guys that maybe aren't rookies, but it's their first full season on the Devils roster. And this one was really hard for me to pick. Connor Brown was phenomenal with Jack Hughes. Cody Glass has been a steady third line center all year. And while he doesn't do anything flashy, he's been really, really steady for the Devils all year round. However, for this Calder year, I am going to give this award to Arsenij Gritsuk. He's literally a rookie. He's literally been one of the shining stars of this New Jersey roster and will most likely continue to be. If this year is anything to give him his credit for, this year hopefully he's going to be able to, and into the future, be able to sustain the New Jersey Devils offense. Arsenij Gritsuk was great this year, and again, he was one of the very few shining stars that we had this year. So, the Calder Trophy for the New Jersey Devils goes to Arsenij Gritsuk. So we move along to our third trophy, and this one's going to be fairly obvious. And I feel like if you guys have watched any amount of New Jersey hockey this year, you're going to know that this one is fairly obvious. This time, we're going over the Vezina Trophy. Yep, the trophy that should be going to the best goaltender in the NHL, or in this case, the best goaltender on this team. And again, it's a pretty obvious one. This one is going to Jake Allen. Now, Allen finished the year with a .904 save percentage and a 2.74 goals against average. And granted, his goals against average is not great. You'd like to see that lower. But when your options are Jake Allen with a .904 save percentage and Jacob Markstrom with an .880 save percentage, it's not a competition. The Vezina Award this year is going to Jake Allen. Again, nice and easy, fairly easy one to take care of. Now comes a little bit of time that I had to think about because I wasn't really sure who I was going to give this to, but let's go over it. Next one is going to be the Norris Trophy, given to the best defenseman on this team. Now, for me, this is basically a two-man race. This is Brett Pesce versus Luke Hughes. Dougie Hamilton was Bummy Hamilton all year. Kovacevic was something. He existed. Siegenthaler was awful. And Dylan, well, he didn't really hit people, despite the fact that that's what we were told we were going to be getting when we got Brendan Dillon, who is a big guy who's known to throw his body around. Now, we're going up against Luke Hughes, who played about 68 games this year, and Brett Pesce, who played about 35 games this year. The question is this: who do you give it to? The longevity guy or the guy that makes an impact? Well, here's how I thought about it, and you guys are more than welcome to disagree and let me know in the comments. Brett Pesce, in my opinion, is one of the best defensemen on this team, if not the best defenseman. He blocks shots. He's an impact player. He's arguably the best defensive player on this team, bar none. Here's the issue. He only played 35 games. And sure, in those 35 games that he's played, he was outstanding in all of them, leading the team in block shots and really being the guy that makes sure that the Devils' goaltenders were not overwhelmed constantly. On the other hand, you have Luke Hughes, who played 63 to 68 games this year. And in that total, he had 6 goals, 29 assists, 35 points in 68 games. Now, granted, he had a -4 plus-minus, which for a defenseman isn't great. But you know what? There's only one guy on our entire roster that had above a +0 for plus-minus. Now, if you don't know what plus-minus is, I'll run it through with you. Plus-minus is an accumulation of how many times were you on the ice for a goal for versus how many times you were on the ice for a goal against. If you were on the ice when the puck went in for your team, you gain a +1. If you were on the ice when the goal goes in your own net, your score drops by -1. He ends up with a -4, which if you think about it is pretty good considering how many goals the Devils allowed this year, especially with Jacob Markstrom in net, especially with our defense crumbling around us the entire time. So the question is it Brett Pesce for the Norris or is it Luke for the Norris? And this year I've decided to give it to Luke Hughes. At the end of the day, if you only play 35 games a year, you're probably not going to have as much impact on the team as a guy that played 68. Luke only missed 14 games this year, which in a year where the Devils were constantly screwed over from injuries, that's not half bad if you really think about it. So this year, I am giving the Norris Trophy to Luke Hughes. Moving on, we are moving on to the Art Ross Trophy, and this goes to the player with the most amount of points this year. And again, mathematically, this is a simple one. Jack Hughes finished the year with 77 points. 77 points in something like 68 games played. After the mysterious Chicago cut that ruined his hand or his finger, I don't know if we ever got a straight answer about that. I'm giving this year's Art Ross to Jack Hughes. He came back after the Olympics, played something like 15 games, and had 30 points, which if you think about it, the Olympics were what? in February, late January, early February. So in about a month and a half to 2 months, this guy put up 30 points. Could you imagine if one day we get a healthy Jack Hughes that plays 82 games a season? This guy could end up having 100 points a season if we just surround him with the right pieces. So far, Jack has won the Hart Trophy as well as the Art Ross Trophy for most amount of points. Now, let's move on to a little bit of a different one. This is the Selke Trophy, and this normally goes to the best defensive forward on the team. Now, many people are going to say, come on, this one's obvious. Who's the guy in New Jersey that's always up for the Selke when it's the entire league involved? It's Nico Hischier, right? Not this year. I've decided to give this trophy this year to Cody Glass. Cody Glass is the only player on the entirety of the New Jersey roster who had above a +0 in plus minus. And again, plus minus to me means a lot when we're talking about the defensive side of the puck. New Jersey let in an astronomical amount of goals this year. And granted, the third line doesn't see a lot of minutes. But considering that they don't see a lot of minutes, and yet he's on the ice, Cody Glass is on the ice for more goals than he is against. And Cody Glass, it's not like he's getting a lot of power play time. It's not like he's being able to play with the Jack Hugheses, the Timo Meyers, the Jesper Bratts, the Nico Hischiers. He's a guy working on a third line, oftentimes with Mercer or Connor Brown. And not to say that those guys are slouches, because they're not, but hey, putting up a positive, a +3 this year, when your entire team ends up in the negatives, and it's not even a little bit in the negatives, it's like -11 to -16, and you're putting up a +3, in my opinion, Cody Glass deserves the Selke Trophy for the best defensive player on this team. Plus, he actually played most of the year. I know, shocking considering how many injuries we had. So, Cody Glass, in my opinion, wins a Selke. Now on to one that is a little bit more interesting. We have the Lady Byng Trophy. Now, as detailed by the definition for this trophy, it goes for best sportsmanship. But normally this trophy goes to the guy with the least amount of penalty minutes. And in my opinion, Brett Pesce deserves this award. Now again, I know many of you are going to say, why is he getting the Lady Byng? Why is he getting the least penalty minutes? He only played for less than half the year. Let me tell you why. Brett Pesce, sorry for the pause there, I had to think for a second. Brett Pesce, in 35 games played, had 6 penalty minutes. 6 penalty minutes, meaning that in 35 games played, he allowed for 3 penalties in 35 games. If he had played an 82-game season, it's very likely that he would have finished with like 12 to 14 penalty minutes. That's 7 penalties the entire game. That is incredible from a defensive defenseman who oftentimes is facing off against some of the best forwards in the league and doing everything he possibly can to stop them from scoring. And sometimes you get desperate. You hold a guy, you hook a guy, you trip a guy. But to play 35 games and only have 3 penalties or 6 penalty minutes the entire in the entire 33 to 35 games he played, that's pretty good. So in my opinion, I'm giving the Lady Byng Trophy to Brett Pesce. Now, let's move on to the high-flying, exciting stuff, shall we? The Rocket Richard Trophy is given to the player who scores the most amount of goals in a single season. And in this year, this one's pretty obvious. All we have to do is go to NHL.com, take a look at the New Jersey Devils, and scroll over to most goals. And in this case, it's Nico Hischier. Nico Hischier finished this year with 28 goals. This man nearly scored 30 goals in a terrible, awful, no good, very bad season, still registered almost 30 goals. This man went from scoring 40 goals last year to just under 30. And honestly, considering the difference between this year and last year, being this year was way worse than last year, that's not a terrible drop-off. It's not good. It's not great. You want to see Hischier posting 35 goals to 40 goals a season. But scoring almost 30 still isn't that bad, considering the rest of your team is sitting somewhere at 20 or 18. I'll take 28 goals scored. So the Rocket Richard this year is going to Nico freaking Hischier. Now we got two more. We got two more trophies, so bear with me. I know we're coming up at the 15-minute mark, but I can only talk so fast and so quickly. So we're going to the King Clancy Trophy. Now this award normally goes to the best leadership on the team. And there's only one guy, in my opinion, that deserves this award. There's only one guy out there that I think deserves the best leadership award. And that's Hischier. Again. And you know why it's Hischier? If you can point to me a single other player on this team who stood up for his teammates like Nico Hischier, let me know, because I'm very curious. Because I remember a time when Luke Hughes was nearly booed out of the Prudential Center after being responsible for 2 goals in a row. One of them he literally put in his own net, and he was nearly booed out of the building. And I was in favor of booing him in the first period when he let in those 2 goals. But to continue booing him after 60 minutes is a little insane. However, at the end of the game, the media vultures that they are descended upon New Jersey's locker room. And what they did instead is they decided that they wanted to find Luke Hughes and grill him for allowing 2 goals. Now, if you guys remember, Luke Hughes was a mess after that game. He was a total mess. He was crying in the locker room. He was very upset. And you know what? I don't blame him for being upset. Not only did he his team over, but he also pissed off every single Devils fan, myself included. But you know who came to Luke Hughes' rescue? It wasn't his brother Jack. It was Nico. Nico Hischier, as the captain, stepped forward and said, "Hey, media vultures, Luke is literally not in the mood to speak with you right now. He will talk to you in a moment. However, he needs a moment to himself, to compose himself before he comes out to talk to you." And in my opinion, that's leadership. It's not just scoring the most amount of goals or getting the most amount of points on your team. It's about who's going to step up for your teammates like no one else will. And in my opinion, that's Nico Hischier to a T. And that's why I love Nico Hischier as our captain. The big C, the big cheese is Nico Hischier. And that's why it sucks to see so many Devils fans going after the guy, hoping desperately that he gets traded. I think Nico Hischier deserves to stay, and I think he deserves to stay our New Jersey Devils captain. So, final trophy of the evening. We are coming up on the 19 minutes. Jesus, I can't talk fast enough. So, our final trophy of the evening is going to be the Ted Lindsay Award. Now, this is an award that is voted as most valuable player by the players in the NHL. Now, granted, in this case, there is no voting for the most valuable player. It's just me in this case, and it's just the Devils. So, I'm giving the Ted Lindsay Award to Jack Hughes. Because if you're going to give the guy the Hart Trophy, you might as well give him the Ted Lindsay as well. So, that pretty much wraps up our award show here. Let's go over this very quickly. So Jack wins the Ted Lindsay, he wins the Hart, and he wins the Art Ross. He cleans up very, very nicely. Nico Hischier picks up the Rocket Richard and the King Clancy. Jake Allen takes home the Vezina. Luke takes home the Norris. And Cody Glass takes home the Selke Trophy. So, how'd you guys like that? I felt good. It's a lot of talking, but I wanted to do something that I've never done before on this channel, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So, on that note, I'm going to get out of here, and I am going to see you guys tomorrow, because I'm going to record another video tomorrow giving my predictions for the Eastern Conference playoff race. We're going to talk only about the first round because we have 4 really good matchups that I think are worth watching literally any of these playoff series. And I'm going to give you my takes of the breakdowns, how many games it's going to go to, who might be the notable players, and so on and so forth. On that note, guys, take it easy, and I will see you in the next one tomorrow when we go after the Eastern Conference playoff race. Adios.